live. This is Law Call.
Learn more. Hey, good evening, everybody, and Happy New Year. It is 2025, and this is Law Call. Tonight, we've got our great friend, our guest here, Mr. James Dogle. He is all about criminal defense and DUIs. We're going to talk about things that happened over the holidays. If you have a question, give us a call, 850-392-1544. Our lines are open, or we will answer your email questions. You can email us if you don't want to be on the air and you're a little shy, lawcall@wmbb.com. lawcall@wmbb.com. But first, let's welcome James Dogle. Look at that snazzy jacket, man. Happy New Year.
I stole it off your partner.
It looks like you did, man. You're wearing it great. You're wearing it great. Well, how are you doing?
Great. Had a great holiday. How about yourself?
Holiday was fantastic, and you know, great time with the family. Got a few days off, and then you know, we had a couple tape shows. We had our Christmas tape show. We had a tape show for New Year's Eve, but we're back and we're live now. So you can give us a call, 850-392-1544, or you can email us at lawcall@wmbb.com. Speaking of which, we've got a couple of email questions we can get to, James, if you want to do that right off the bat. Let's go to those. Let's go to the first one, please. I'll go ahead and read it. If someone gets a DUI, look at they're already on topic. If someone gets a DUI or gets into a wreck after drinking at a party, does it put any liability on the company serving those drinks? And that's Harry. Well, Harry, we don't know if you're in Alabama, Georgia, or Florida, but we'll answer it to Georgia. We'll answer it to Florida. First of all, let's talk about the criminal aspect of it. Is somebody else responsible for DUI?
Usually not.
Okay.
I mean,
all right.
The person that's going to be operating the vehicle at that time is going to be the person that's going to be, or in physical control, because that's another element of DUI. You don't actually have to be.
You're already starting to talk that lawyer stuff. Physical control versus driving a vehicle. In order to have a DUI, I need to be driving the vehicle, don't I?
Well, not necessarily, Larry. I mean, you can actually be in actual physical control as one of the components in Florida, which you'll see people that will pull off the road in a parking lot, decide to rest at that point in time, and wind up getting charged with DUI.
So in that situation, should they get in the back seat, get in the passenger seat, take the keys out? I mean, what are these things about physical control that somebody needs to be worried about? I mean, you figure if somebody may feel like they were good to leave someplace and then they left and then felt like, well, maybe I'm not so good, and they pull off into a parking lot, you know, Walmart, or safely off the side of the road, or you know, a closed restaurant or something like that. Hey, tell us what somebody should do or not do in that situation.
Well, just make sure those keys aren't available.
Okay.
No matter what, whatever way you can sit there and accomplish that is what I would tell somebody to do, because you are trying to do the right thing. You are off the road at that point. You're not technically driving the vehicle. The problem is nobody knows if you're. The reason law enforcement looks at it the way they do is they don't know if you're all of a sudden going to get back behind the wheel, even if you're not behind the wheel, and start the car and take off at that point.
Okay. All right. So.
And that's, I think, the logic behind the legislature setting up actual physical control.
Okay. So in this particular situation for Harry, if the person is behind the wheel or in physical control, as you say, and they're driving, they're the ones responsible, or that person is the one responsible for DUI, right?
Correct.
Now let's go to the civil side. On the civil side, if somebody is involved with an accident and they have been drinking and they've been overserved someplace, the question is, you know, are they responsible, meaning if they're at a restaurant or at a social gathering or things like that. And that is very fact specific here in the state of Florida. You would think, oh my gosh, you know, they were served, you know, 10 kamikazes before they got in behind the wheel and they were drunk, then they should be responsible for it. That's not always the case. And in the state of Florida, it has to be somebody who is either underage, under the age of 21, or they have to be somebody who is a known alcoholic to the restaurant. Kind of like Cheers, you know, they kind of come in, they've got the drink set up. Hey, Norm, you know, everybody's talking about that. For you young people out there, it was a very popular sitcom back in the 1980s and early 1990s.
One of my favorites.
And it's where everybody knew your name, and it's a great landmark up in Boston you can go to. But aside, you need to, they need to know who you are as far as being a known alcoholic. And so you can be served, and maybe you display actions of being overserved, or maybe you're just an alcoholic and you can sit there and drink 10 drinks and still walk a straight line. But if you get behind the wheel and you're involved in an automobile accident first, Harry, the person would be involved they would be responsible. And then it becomes fact dependent on whether or not you are responsible. If you're a business owner, a restaurateur, a bar owner, something like that, it becomes very, very fact specific. Now, in the social host context, typically you're not responsible unless you have an open party or an open bar and nobody kind of watching things, and you have, and a lot of those situations, James, it's where they have the open house party, everybody gets on social media, Project X party, where everybody just kind of shows up, and unfortunately, you know, you got somebody that's 16, 17, 18, 19 years old, 20 years old even, that just starts drinking, and if you have an open bar policy at that particular situation, then the social host could be held responsible, including situations where a parent rents the house for the children. You know, they're down here on spring break, they're down here for a party, they're down here for a social gathering of some sort.
And there is a criminal open house party statute too.
Yeah, so you can be held responsible that way as well. So Harry, you know, obviously you don't want to get in those situations. And I want to point out something, you know, if you think you've had too much to drink, of course you've got Uber, you've got Lyft, and I got to give kudos and a great big shout out to White's Wrecker here in Bay County, Florida, that over the holiday, over New Year's Eve, they towed more than 40 vehicles to people's homes. All they had to do was call, and White's Wrecker, for free, towed them to their homes.
That's great.
I mean, does it get any better than that? I mean, that is really putting your money, your time, your treasure, and your, you know, to make sure, putting it where your mouth is, you know, cashing that check to say, hey, look, we're going to do it for free because we believe that much in it. And of course, AAA did that nationwide as well. So if you were a AAA member, or I don't even think you had to be a AAA member, all you had to do is call AAA over the New Year's Eve holiday, and if you had too much to drink or felt like you had too much to drink, they would tow or get a tow for your vehicle and to get you home safely for free. Unfortunately, there are a lot of people who didn't do that over the holiday, did they?
Unfortunately.
I don't know what the statistics are here for Bay County, but I heard that it was in the dozens of DUIs that were picked up over just New Year's Eve, and I think that was Panama City Beach and Bay County picked those up. I don't know about Panama City proper, but quite a few DUIs, and so you had that opportunity for free to go home, and what do they say? Buzz driving is?
Drunk driving.
Yep, so there you go. Tonight we're talking all about DUIs. We're also talking about criminal defense. We've got James Dogle. James, it's, you know, we're into a new year. We got folks in Alabama, we got folks in Georgia that may vacation down here. Tell us a little bit about what you do and what you do in your practice.
I handle criminal defense, which consists of DUIs, which is what we're mainly talking about tonight. But I do handle other criminal matters, you know, theft cases, battery cases, drug cases. Done this a little over 20 years now. Handle approximately 6 counties, which makes up the 14th Judicial Circuit here in the area. A lot of folks are familiar with that. People that aren't in the legal realm or not, which consists of 6 counties. And
basically, you're from the Apalachicola River all the way over to Highway 79 and all the counties in between.
You summed it up really.
Yeah, there we go. You got to know your market here, what you got to do. But you know, and if you've been involved in an accident somewhere outside that area, James, or a DUI or some other criminal matter, James, you've got colleagues over, you know, in Walton County, Okaloosa County. You've got
Correct.
colleagues up in Alabama as well if you need them, and you'd make an appropriate referral to them if necessary. Correct?
Exactly.
And likewise, they make the referrals down to you as well. Folks, the phone lines are open, 850-392-1544. We do have another email question. Let's get to that, please. Let's see. I was driving a friend who was wasted home in her car. Okay, so you're a designated driver of some sort. You had a drink earlier in the day but felt sober. I forgot to turn on the headlights and got pulled over. The breathalyzer showed my blood alcohol content was 0.03. I am under 21. This is a problem. What can I expect from here on out? Is there something that I have to report to employers in the future? Anything I need to know before going to court? I'm trying to avoid hiring a lawyer, broke college student here, John. Okay, John, you tried to do the right thing here, but you had a drink beforehand and you're under the age of 21. So James, 0.03 on a blood alcohol, somebody, we're going to presume the state of Florida on this one as well. what do we do for John?
Well, unfortunately for poor John, because most people are going to think .08 and go, well, John's in the clear.
Yeah. And so .08 is the legal limit in Georgia. It's the legal limit, and I hate to use the word legal limit, but that is the limit.
Presumption of impairment.
Presumption of impairment in Alabama, Georgia, and Florida.
But the difference is if you're under 21, then that drops to .02.
Okay.
So that is
even just one drink.
And most likely one drink, yes. And it gives that presumption of impairment at that point in time. So, you know, John, of course, to get to the point where he's submitting to a breath test, has already been charged with DUI, is facing that, there's that presumption. Hopefully, you know, with you just barely being over, trying to do the right thing, hopefully a good attorney would be able to present that to a prosecutor and get some type of reduction in your case.
Okay, John's wanting to do this on his own. He's a broke college student. What advice do you have for John?
Hopefully the PD's able to sit there and help him out. There's plenty of good lawyers that are public defenders. I know they get a bad rap sometimes, but public defenders do a good job. They just have a lot more cases that they're dealing with.
So, John, you need a lawyer. Either go the public defender route or hire private counsel, but you don't want to do this on your own.
No, because you're not going to know exactly what is going to be a good outcome.
Even though he's under 21, and even though it's only a .03, he's charged with the big boy DUI.
Right.
Yeah, so there you go, John. Folks, our phone lines are open, 850-392-1544. We're going to take a break here in just a moment, and we'll come back to you in just a few moments. And welcome back to Law Call. We are live on Facebook Live as well. WDHN out of Dothan, Alabama, and WMBB here in the heart of Panama City, Florida. We're taking your questions live. You can email us also at lawcall@wmbb.com, or you can call us 850-392-1544. I did not answer a portion of John's question, and James was quick to point that out for me, and I appreciate it very much. He is asking whether or not with this particular type of charge, is this something that you have to report to an employer? And the question is asked, yes. I mean, you've now been charged with the big boy DUI, even though it's a .03. It's the DUI laws and challenges and are the same, whether or not it's a .08 or a .03 because of your age. And so, yes, it's something that is going to be critical with your employment. If you are looking to be a professional and you fail to put this on your application, that is a big no-no, because now they're going to do their investigation. They're going to say, you didn't answer this question truthfully. So now not only do you have the DUI charge, we don't want you to get the the conviction. I mean, there are some ways
you can
that
get more
do.
trouble for not reporting it than actually having the conviction itself.
Yes, by all means. I mean, so yes, that is something that you need to do. So again, you're going to have to reach out, John, to get a lawyer either through the public defender's office or private counsel, get the money up, whichever way you want to do it. As James pointed out, I mean, we have some fine public defenders in our area, and they seem to be a little bit overworked from time to time, but they do a great job for their clients, and certainly you don't need to do this on your own. We've got another email question that has come in. Let's go to that real quick. If you had had a couple drinks and failed the field test but blew under .08, would you still be charged? And this is from TJ. Now, I've got a TJ out of Dothan, Alabama, but I don't think this is that TJ. At least I hope not, TJ. I'm going to give you a shout out here in a few moments. Tommy Jo, she's my wife's cousin out of Dothan. But if you've had a couple drinks, failed the field test, but blew under .8, would you still be charged? James, what's going to happen in that situation?
Well, at the point that you're taking the breath test, you've been charged. So the way the process works, when they're asking you to do the field sobriety test, that's giving them the probable cause to arrest you at that time if you were not successful in their opinion. I hate to use the term that you failed them, okay, because it's not a pass-fail, so to speak. An officer is certainly using his judgment in order to make a determination if he feels you're impaired at that time, and then at that time they're going to place you under arrest based on that, then ask you to submit to a breath test. So at the point you're taking that breath test, you've already been charged.
Oh, goodness. Well, I hope it's not my TJ, and TJ, I hope we answered that question for you. But again, you're going to have to reach out to get an attorney to help you with this, because even though you blew under a .08, that is only a presumption. You can still be impaired at a .05, a .04, and there might be different evidences, different items of evidence that get introduced, so you don't want to go that alone. We do have a caller on the line. We've got Leroy from Colquitt, Georgia. Leroy, how can we help you tonight?
Suppose I get a DUI, will I go to jail?
If you get a DUI, you're going to jail that night, Bubba. Leroy, if you get a DUI, they're not going to just turn you loose and send you on your way, James, are they? It doesn't matter if it's Georgia, Alabama, Florida, they're going to get you.
Yeah, because they're going to be open to liability if they were to let you go and turn around and drive at that point. So no, at the point that you're in the car and you're being asked at that time, you're not leaving.
You're not getting a free ride home.
No.
No, you're not getting that White's record job where they're taking you to the home and they're going to tow your vehicle.
That chance is passed.
And by the way, if you get picked up for a DUI and your vehicle gets towed, it's not free.
No. You got to pay for that. Pay for the impound to get it out later. Figure out where they towed it, because that's not always the easiest.
Let's go through some of that real quick. I mean, the topic tonight is DUI, and certainly we don't want people drinking and driving. But if you do find yourself in a DUI, what are some of these costs? Well, I mean, we're kind of tongue-in-cheek here with Leroy, but reality of it is, I mean, you're going to have to hire an attorney. And so depending on where it is and how many DUIs you've had, that's going to run anywhere from, what, $5,000 to $20,000?
Depending on the circumstances of it. I mean, if you had a felony, if you caused injury, because once again, if somebody's injured at that point in time, you're charged with a felony, if it's serious bodily injury. So that variation on costs is a fair assessment, not to mention the fines and court costs, the DUI school you have to do.
So let's talk about fines and court costs here in Florida. What are some of the fines and court costs affiliated with a DUI?
On a first-time DUI, you're basically looking at about $1,100 just on the fines and costs. That doesn't include the probation fees. You're looking at another $50 a month. You're dealing with basically being on probation for a year, so you're looking at probably another $600 approximately. Yep. You're looking around $300 for the DUI school. Not to mention, if you're convicted of the DUI, you got to carry the SR-22 insurance.
And so SR-20, since that's civil, SR-22 is that high-risk insurance. You're not going to get your standard rates. Your rates are going to triple. Yeah. So even just to have the street legal minimum, it's
that's
going
2
to,
years.
Yeah, you're going to have that. It's going to be at least triple. So if you're paying $1,000 a year, expect to pay $3,000 a year. If you're paying $2,000 a year, expect that to be $6,000 a year. Let's go through some other costs. What are some of the others?
Depending on if you blew, you may have to have a, ignition interlock. people kind of think of the old movie
Right.
40-Year-Old Virgin at that point where they're having to blow into the blower. That was one of the funny scenes in that at that time. But you got to pay for that.
Yep.
That's not something that's just given to you.
And then, by the way, if it does involve a wreck or an accident, you're subject to punitive damages, not just the compensatory damages, but in the state of Florida, Alabama, and Georgia, you are opening yourself up to punitive damages in the event that there was a bodily injury or even a serious bodily injury, and heaven forbid there's a death involved with it. Now you're looking at multiple years of prison time. It's really not worth it. We've got another caller on the line, though, but let's take that call real quick before we go to our next break. Who do we have? Dee, you said? Dee from Alabama. Dee, how can we help you tonight?
Hi, but you don't have to blow into the breathalyzer at that time, do you?
Dee, that's Dee, that's a great question. You know, so let me rephrase the question from a legal standpoint from Dee is, are you required to blow into a breathalyzer?
No, you can't be forced to sit there and blow into a breathalyzer, but there is the penalty of the potential of your license being suspended on the refusal, and you can challenge that too.
Okay. So what is that called in the legal field when you, in the DUI field, when you fail to blow, or you say I don't want to blow into the breathalyzer?
They'll call that a refusal at that time, and then you have an administrative suspension with the Department of Motor Vehicles based on that. And in the criminal realm, they can actually use that refusal as some type of admission of guilt at that time of why you didn't want to sit there and submit to it. Granted, once again, when you're dealing with a breath test machine, it's not completely accurate. Everybody knows when you're dealing with phones and computers, those are electronics, and those things malfunction and don't have problems. And the other problem with a breath test machine, too, for accuracy purposes, is you're trying to get somebody's blood alcohol level, and the only true way to do that is taking somebody's blood. So, but the state or the state agency does not have to take the blood. Correct.
They can rely upon the breathalyzer test.
Right, because you're taking the breath and you're converting that into blood alcohol with the breath alcohol. Now, there are situations where if there's a death involved, then they would be able to actually draw blood.
If they have probable cause to do that.
Correct.
There you go. So D, if you decide to blow, then it's more likely than not going to be admissible, but a lawyer can challenge the admissibility of it. If you don't blow, then you are violating the informed consent law with your driver's license. It's the same in Alabama, Georgia, and Florida. And if you do that, you're subject to an administrative suspension. Folks, it's been a great show so far. Stay tuned. We've got one more segment coming back. Stay tuned. We'll be here in just a few moments. And we're back. We had one caller call in about bail bonds. Talk about what bail bondsman can do.
A bail bondsman can help get you out. When the judge sets a bond, sometimes it's a monetary bond. Of course, there's 3 types of bonds that are set in Florida. An ROR bond, basically on your own recognizance, which is your word that you'd show up to court. Pretrial release or a supervised release where you call in, have certain conditions. And then, of course, a bail bondsman, and they normally charge 10%, which is their fee at that point. So if you're...
And you don't get the 10% back, by
Correct.
the way.
That's their fee. So if it's, a $5,000 bond, you're going to be out $500 usually to the bondsman at that time.
So that's another cost you got to throw in there, bail bondsman.
Yes. So, you're on just these
call
simple...
Uber and, call
You come out
AAA.
so much cheaper calling Uber or Lyft.
It would be cheaper for you to call the record company on a regular business day and have them call you and drive it home than to go through
Exactly.
all this. So, Mr. Leroy from Colquitt, Georgia, if you were sitting somewhere and making that decision, let's call somebody and get you home safely. All right, buddy? And thank you for watching from Colquitt, Georgia. We appreciate you. Man, we've got a ton of shout-outs. So we've got some photographs to get to. Let's get to your photographs first, or my photographs, whichever ones you got. Oh, here we go. We got Mr. Ethan there. He was making Santa cookies with my daughter, Anna. Anna just accepted a job with a top 10 law firm in the world, Greenberg Traurig. She is going to be in their Atlanta office in a couple of weeks. Let's go to the next one there real fast. There are the actual cookies. Didn't they do a nice job for
Wow,
Santa?
that is great.
And Santa did come find Ethan and get taken care of him. And then we also have our Jewish community. Happy Hanukkah, which just ended, the 8 days of lights, the Hanukkah. We've got a couple folks here real quick. There's some folks from our small group. Let's go ahead and go to the next one too. We got Judy and Steve Ransom, by the way. Oh, here we go. We got Ash Elam, who found me, and he says, man, I watch you on LawCall and I see you on the billboards. He says, I got to get a picture with you. So Ash over in Defuniak Springs, thank you for watching LawCall, and thanks for reminding me to get that selfie. I think I hope you made it home good that night. He got twisted around and I helped him with some directions. So let's see, we got a couple more coming up here. Oh, look at those beautiful girls.
That's Olivia and Isabella, my 2 little joys in life. And actually, they're happy with each other at that moment because that's not always the case.
And we got another one here. Oh, that's it. Okay. Well, we've got Judy. We got Gary in the hospital who's watching. Gary, we want you to get feeling better soon. Harriet and King who are watching. Myra. Of course, Miss Pam. Donna and Bruce. We got Ray Dean from Arizona watching Facebook Live. Tommy Joe. I hope that wasn't you calling me asking about the DUI. Jason and George Orr. Lynn. Terry Cole is watching. Lisa, Mike, Brandy. Thank you all for watching and everybody else.
And I was going to say hey to Miss Pam. I got to meet her at the Christmas party.
So very good, folks. Well, thank you for watching. Happy 2025. We are all here for you. We'll be back at the same time, same place, same station, and same Facebook Live next week. We hope to see you then. Have a good evening.